Ghostfuckers is Helluva Boss's worst episode, while also being a plot-driven, visibly appealing masterpiece at the same time. Within this video, I will tell you why this is the case while being as fair as I can. Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. Don't worry, even though I haven't uploaded in over a month—
Get out of bed, you lazy bastard!
Jelly beans.
I am not dead. You can tell because I am uploading short form every other day. No, the reason I haven't been uploading long form content on the channel is because of end of year university assignments.
Right here. All your needs will be—
I wanna make a fucking vid! Now that's all done, I can go back to complaining about animated shows on the internet, just like every other normal person does. So, let's get started with the video. Ghostfuckers is a weird episode because for some reason it feels like it's constantly conflicting with itself. One minute it wants to be one of the worst written episodes I have ever seen on Helluva Boss, and then the next minute it turns into one of the best, and I'm not sure why. I'll be honest, before I do go on a massive rant, this joke here did get a little chuckle from me.
And what are you doing?
Blitz bought 200 taxidermy owls, then said I couldn't go home until I burned all of them.
Not because the joke itself is funny, but because I know that Vivienne has a weird obsession with buying taxidermy, and that is just all I could think about. Moving on though, the first 10 minutes of Ghostfuckers is abhorrently bad. Like Unhappy Campers level bad. And I just know how much you guys love that episode. It is just filled to the fucking brim with horrible writing.
And eat my feelings till I die from a heart attack or diabetes.
And also just unnecessary sex jokes, especially with the Bethany bit. It is a television show about a woman going around and getting freaky with ghosts. That's it. I understand that they are also trying to make fun of the horrible ghost hunting shows that are on cable television.
You guys, it literally says you are...
But this uncomfortable string of cringy jokes lasts for over 5 minutes of the 27-minute long episode. Which, to be fair, isn't that bad for the show's standards. There was also this joke that also made me laugh for the wrong reason.
I'll fucking beat the Nazis, and I'll beat you too, bitch!
But I'm gonna choose not to talk about Vivienne's old art pieces. Once you have finished stomaching all of the innuendos and sex jokes that there are, a song plays while Blitz and Millie get chased around by hotel guests like in a Scooby-Doo episode. And I'll be totally honest with you, before making this video, I had completely forgotten that this song even existed. In fact, I was completely convinced that this was one of the episodes that didn't have a song. Honestly, I can see why I thought this, due to the quality of the song. Covering roughly about another 2 minutes of the episode, the song was just filler for the episode, trying to scrape out more runtime for the algorithm. Following this, Millie decides that she has had enough and has a generational crash out at Blitz. This creates an opportunity for the writers to create an A plot for Blitz and a B plot for Millie. However, this lasts about, and I'm not being hyperbolic, 1 minute. They both spend 1 minute of runtime apart from each other. However, I will give credit where it is due. This is where the episode starts to make a positive turn into why it is good in the second half. However, there are a couple of things that I would like to mention before I talk about the good parts of the episode. The main point I would like to make is that I am not entirely convinced that the whole episode is written by the same person or the same couple of people. I think one person wrote the first half, and another person wrote the second half. As you will find out in a second, the tone of this episode drastically changes around halfway through. At first, it was just sex joke word shit, and in the second half, there is backstory that wasn't established before. There are heartfelt scenes, and there are questions answered that were never addressed before. But most importantly, the quality of the writing drastically improves. So, going off of this, we can assume one of two things. Either A, overnight the only writer of the episode read the entirety of How to Write a Funny Adult Animated Series that is funny, but sometimes a musical, but also sometimes serious, but sometimes really sexual, for dummies. Or someone else wrote the second half. And would you look at that? There are a total of 3 writers on the episode, and even better, they are put into 2 categories. If I had to hazard a guess, I would say that Brandon wrote the second half of the episode, as I think he likes to write more plot-driven and serious tones of the show. And the first half was written by Adam Naylan, with the oversight of Vivienne, so take that as you will. As we know, because of the attention span of audiences these days,
We're Costco guys, of course, we're in Among Us. I've got to take my chicken bake and use anything else.
short to say the least. Having the first half of your episode be absolutely abysmal leaves you vulnerable to a large amount of people leaving the episode before it becomes good. Good. Oh, that's a good transition. Okay, now that the Helluverse fans, I'm not sure how you go on, have eaten their veggies, you can finally have your pudding. I will now talk about what is good about the episode.
You wouldn't hit a woman. That's a woman?
You will be pleasantly surprised to hear that despite everything I've previously said about this episode, I actually quite enjoy it. But only this point onward did I actually see the potential that it had. I think that thanks to the writing and the direction that the second half of the episode had, it truly redeemed itself in my eyes, and I will explain in case you were doubting me. At the end of the video, I will take everything that I have said into account and say whether or not this episode is better than most in the catalogue. So the first thing I would like to praise about this episode is one of the best villains, if not the best in the entire series except for Mammon. No one can top my goat. This antagonist is Rolando, his character design being based off of an electric eel, which is ironic due to the fact that he died of, you guessed it, electrocution. Like I said just now, I would put Rolando on the second highest tier of the hypothetical tier list of Helluva Boss villains. Let me explain why. I mean, first of all, it makes sense to start off with his introduction. I'll play the clip now and let it speak for itself and give my thoughts after.
Oh.
Bingo!
So, figured it out, have you? A bit out of your depth, aren't you, little ones?
Now, I guess that you could argue that his introduction was at the hotel's reception desk. However, that's his human form, and that was also when the episode was shit, so shush. Moving on, this introduction is the best character intro the show has ever done. Actually, no, it's the best Spindle has ever done across any of their projects. Quite a lot of the time when we are introduced to a character, they just pop up out of nowhere and that's it. That's their introduction. However, with this episode, assuming Brandon or Vivienne was writing this part of the episode, they wanted to make it more impactful than that. You start off by hearing Rolando's mocking tone echoing in the halls, and then he taunts both the characters and the audience with a Five Nights at Freddy jump scare. Rolando then fades back into the gloomy darkness of the hotel, slowly transforming into his demon form. This intro has so much thought put into it, and its execution fits the episode so well, as it's obviously supposed to be a Halloween episode. This is also backed up when you see that the release date of the episode is Halloween. The fact that they let the viewer experience this with Blitz and Millie instead of showing Rolando in his demon form before confronting them is such good direction from Spindle. However, I do have one little problem with this scene.
Why are you so negative all the time?
When there is a close-up shot of Rolando, there is literally a one-frame transition between him not being there and then him being on the screen. Personally, I would have preferred if the transition was more detailed, but I will put my hands up and say that I'm being a bit nitpicky. Next, I want to show my appreciation for the fact that the writers took the time to include backstory for two of the main cast in this episode. Don't get me wrong, giving some backstory to Stolas and character development to Fizz is great and all, but it's like eating the same meal every day. You do start wanting something else for a change. I want literally anything else.
Please, we only know how to write 2 characters. Please, just take one and be happy with it.
Thankfully, this episode gives us that change. We get to see what Blitz and Millie looked like before the pilot, or the first episode if you're a lore master and knows that the pilot technically isn't canon anymore according to Vivienne. Something I would like to point out is how Millie looks more roughed up in this scene and Blitz looks more professional and put together. In contrast to present day where Blitz looks like a meth-addicted homeless man and Millie looks like the professional one. Finally, I would like to talk about the way they handled the sadder parts of the episode, specifically when Rolando has Blitz strapped to the seat of the cinema, forcing him to watch back all of his suppressed memories. This scene was done really well as it plays on the common insecurity that plagues everyone, that being the fear of reliving negative past experiences and memories. Furthermore, this process of mentally tormenting people within their own mind isn't something that he needs to do to kill them. It is purely something that he enjoys doing, and knowing that detail makes the scene so much better. I would like to think that this scene is inspired off of the scene from the 1971 film A Clockwork Orange, where the protagonist Alex has his eyes forced open as he watches disturbing content on the screen. This film does cover very disturbing and brutal topics, so I would not recommend looking into it if you are younger, and discretion is advised if you do. Rolando does something similar to Blitz, forcing open his eyes while he watches some of the most traumatic parts of his life. This way of telling a story is so captivating, and actually allows the viewer to naturally sympathise with Blitz and root for him in this situation. Overall, do I think that this is the best episode in Helluva Boss?
Speed, I'm watching the stream while you try not to laugh, bro. That's disrespectful, bro.
No, hell no. In fact, I don't even think it's in my top 3. Mammon's of course being the best.
I need to get off the fucking train! Margaret, I need... Margaret!
But to be fair, the reason why it's dragged down as much as it is because the writer or writers of the first half of the episode just completely dropped the ball.
Me bomba!
However, I made this video because it seems to be the only episode where they completely redeemed the episode in the second half. The villain was great, the storytelling was spectacular, and hell, the fight choreography at the pool and the bar were both amazing. But at the end of the day, I am just one person, and I would like to hear what your consensus is down in the comments. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel, so whenever I upload one of these videos, you'll know before everyone else. Thank you for your support, and I'll be sure to see you later. Bye.